Good evening and welcome to Jamaica News Now. Tonight, we revisit one of the most significant infrastructure failures in Jamaica's recent history, the June 5th island-wide blackout that left millions without electricity and brought the country to a standstill. In just a matter of seconds, homes went dark, hospitals switched to emergency generators, traffic ground to a halt, water systems were disrupted, and businesses across the island were forced to suspend operations. But what exactly caused Jamaica's national electricity grid to collapse? Was it simply an unavoidable act of nature? Or did weaknesses within the power system allow a localized problem to trigger a nationwide failure? In this special investigative report, we'll examine the timeline of events, the technical findings released so far, the response by the Jamaica Public Service Company, the investigations launched by the government and the Office of Utilities Regulations, and what experts say must be done to reduce the risk of another island-wide blackout. Stay with us as we separate fact from speculation and take an in-depth look at the blackout that exposed just how critical and vulnerable Jamaica's electricity infrastructure really is. Jamaica was plunged into darkness on the night of Friday, June 5, 2026, after an unprecedented failure of the national electricity grid left virtually every customer served by the Jamaica Public Service Company without power. The outage, which began at approximately 9:02 p.m., affected homes, hospitals, businesses, water supply systems, telecommunications infrastructure, and transportation across the island. Although electricity was substantially restored by the following morning, the event immediately raised serious questions about the resilience of Jamaica's electricity network, emergency response capability, and the reliability of critical national infrastructure. The blackout ranks among the most significant power failures in Jamaica's modern history because of both its national scale and the speed with which the entire transmission system collapsed. Unlike outages caused by hurricanes or localized equipment failures, the June 5th event resulted from a rapid chain of failures that spread throughout the national grid, causing generating stations across the island to disconnect almost simultaneously. The incident has since become the subject of multiple technical investigations by JPS, the Office of Utilities Regulations, and the Ministry of Energy, Transport, and Telecommunications. The timeline of the blackout. According to preliminary information released by JPS, the electrical system was operating normally before severe weather developed over sections of the corporate area during Friday evening. Significant lightning activity was reported near several major transmission facilities and substations. At approximately 9:02 p.m., multiple high-voltage transmission lines connected to one of JPS's major substations were lost almost simultaneously. Engineers say this initiated what is known as a cascading failure, where one disturbance rapidly causes additional failures across interconnected parts of the electricity network. Within moments, 5 major transmission lines failed. Generation units disconnected from the grid. Protective systems isolated additional equipment. The national electricity grid collapsed, and the entire island lost electricity. What caused the failure? While the full technical investigation remains ongoing, JPS's preliminary assessment points to intense lightning activity as the initiating event. Company President and CEO Hugh Grant explained that lightning strikes affected critical transmission infrastructure in the Kingston metropolitan area. Initial inspections identified damage involving transmission lines, a fault on the high-voltage transmission cable between the Hunts Bay and Newport facilities, damage to equipment at the Rockford substation, the simultaneous loss of multiple transmission circuits. These events reportedly triggered an uncontrolled cascading shutdown that disconnected generation plants across Jamaica. JPS emphasized that investigations continue to determine the precise sequence of failures and whether any protection systems malfunctioned during the event. Understanding a cascading grid failure. Electricity systems operate by maintaining a careful balance between electricity generation and customer demand. When several critical transmission lines suddenly fail, power can no longer move safely around the network. Protective equipment automatically disconnects additional infrastructure to prevent equipment damage. Generating stations lose synchronization with the grid, and generation units automatically trip offline. If operators cannot stabilize the system quickly enough, the entire network shuts down. This appears to be what occurred on June 5th, making the event significantly different from an ordinary power outage affecting only one region. Restoration efforts. JPS engineers immediately activated emergency restoration procedures. One of the first priorities involved using black start capability, which allows certain generating stations to restart without relying on electricity from the national grid. According to the company, the Bogue power station in St. James was successfully black started. The South Jamaica Power Company facility was subsequently restarted. Electricity was restored gradually to western Jamaica before extending to central and eastern sections. Restoration began within approximately 1 hour of the blackout. The grid was reported to be restored by approximately 6:30 a.m. on Saturday, June 6th. National impact. Although the outage lasted less than one night for most customers, its impact extended well beyond the loss of electricity. Restaurants, supermarkets, manufacturing facilities, and commercial operations were forced to suspend operations. Businesses dependent on refrigeration, electronic payment systems, and continuous production experienced interruptions. The blackout also disrupted the National Water Commission's pumping operations, leaving tens of thousands of customers without water even after electricity returned because reservoirs and pumping stations required additional time to recover. Although many telecommunications providers rely on backup batteries and generators, prolonged outages can reduce network capacity as backup systems become depleted. Traffic signals failed across many intersections, creating congestion and increasing road safety concerns until electricity was restored. Emergency services and hospitals relied heavily on standby generators to maintain critical operations throughout the outage. Government response. Energy Minister Darryl Vaz described the nationwide outage as unacceptable and ordered an independent investigation into the incident. Following meetings with JPS executives and technical personnel, the minister rejected speculation circulating on social media about sabotage or other conspiracy theories, stating that the available evidence indicated the blackout resulted from a system failure within JPS's network rather than deliberate interference.
Restoring power and stabilizing critical services, this event underscores the importance of addressing long-standing vulnerabilities within our electricity system. It is especially important as we are now in day 6 of the new hurricane season for 2026. And we know what we went through in 25, and we know what we went through in 24. And it is important that the customers of the JPS and the people of Jamaica have a level of confidence that if something untoward was to happen, that we are in a position to respond effectively and quickly.
He also stressed that the government expects transparency, accountability, and clear answers regarding the causes of the outage, and measures needed to prevent a recurrence. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, immediately launched its own oversight process. The regulator required JPS to submit a preliminary incident report within days of the outage and a comprehensive technical report within 30 days. The OUR indicated that its investigation will focus on the sequence of technical failures, JPS's operational response, restoration procedures, system resilience, whether regulatory action may be necessary. Several important issues remain under investigation. Why did the loss of several transmission lines result in a complete island-wide collapse? Did all protection systems function as designed? Could additional redundancy have prevented a nationwide outage? Was the transmission network sufficiently protected against severe lightning activity? Were restoration procedures carried out as efficiently as possible? And what infrastructure upgrades are required to improve grid resilience? The answers to these questions could influence future investment in Jamaica's electricity transmission network. The blackout has renewed discussion about the vulnerability of Jamaica's electricity infrastructure as climate-related weather events become more frequent. Power system specialists generally note that stronger transmission redundancy, modern protection technologies, enhanced real-time monitoring, and greater grid resilience can reduce the risk of cascading failures. The incident also highlighted the importance of maintaining robust emergency restoration capabilities, including black start generation and coordinated response plans for essential public services. Although electricity was restored relatively quickly compared with similar nationwide outages elsewhere, the June 5th blackout exposed how dependent virtually every sector of Jamaican society is on the stability of the national electricity grid. Homes, businesses, hospitals, water system, communication networks, and transportation infrastructure all experience immediate disruption. The findings of the ongoing investigations by the JPS, the OUR, and the Ministry of Energy are expected to determine not only the precise technical cause of the failure, but also whether changes to Jamaica's electricity infrastructure, operating procedures, or regulatory oversight will be required. As the country continues to modernize its energy sector and prepare for increasingly severe weather events, the June 5th blackout is likely to serve as a defining case study in strengthening the resilience of Jamaica's power system. Thank you for watching Jamaica News Now. If you found this report informative, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our in-depth coverage of the stories shaping Jamaica. Share this report with your family and friends and let us know in the comments. What changes do you think are needed to prevent another island-wide blackout? Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next report. Subscribe today, turn on notifications, and never miss the stories that matter most. Jamaica News Now, your Highlands, your news, right now.